Hi ladies, I am about to tell you how to make an absolutely guilt-free jam. Honest, I promise. So, one of my favorite things to eat in the spring is rhubarb. And that's where I start to make my preserves. And I do the traditional kind of preserves. I make rhubarb chutney and rhubarb jam. I'm not a big jam person, but that's okay. I do love this jam because you can turn down the sweetness on it, and I love it on my toast in the morning, and I love making parfaits with it for breakfast, and it's so incredibly yummy. So you can see that in here I have what's called rhubarb compote. And so how did I make rhubarb compote? I put some just these chopped up stems of rhubarb on the stove. I simmered them in a little tiny bit of water, and I reduced them down to what we call in this part of the world stewed rhubarb. So it's just plain old stewed rhubarb. But I hadn't added any sugar to it because I want to decide on how sweet I want it. And I don't want to sweeten it with brown sugar because I love the taste of maple syrup. And people who know me will tell you that she's all about local. So I love this maple syrup. It's nice and dark. You can see that, lovely dark maple syrup. But if you're not a maple syrup girl, that's cool. I mean, use honey to sweeten it. Why I use maple syrup, it's local. It's really low on the glycemic index. It's actually lower on the glycemic index than honey, and it also contains huge amounts of vitamin C. And so what I'm going to tell you is that I thickened up my rhubarb compote with chia seeds. So why chia seeds? Because chia seeds right away add huge amounts of fiber to this. You can see in there, you can see the rhubarb itself grows, and it's innately a very fibery plant. And so stringy almost. Some people don't like the word stringy, but it is. You can see the fibers in there. So you add the chia, that drives up the fiber. Ladies, we all need more fiber, I'm telling you. When you get past 50, you will find that things start to slow down and they're not moving as well as you might want them to. So how do you get over that? You add more fiber to your diet. We need about 40 grams of fiber in our diet a day to be basically regular. So this is the nurse talking to you about your bowel movements now. So we'll just leave it there. Leave that, put a line under that. So this rhubarb, I want to call it rhubarb, but anyway, so I have added my maple syrup into here. I've added 2 tablespoons. This jar will take about 2 tablespoons, and then what you do is it becomes this see that? It's like jam. It is the texture of jam. Yummy. So put your 2 tablespoons of chia seeds and your 2 tablespoons, we can start there, of maple syrup into your compote. And the other thing about making this beautiful jam is that rhubarb contains huge amounts of vitamin K. And what I can tell you about vitamin K, as a former cardiac nurse, blood that clots is a beautiful thing. The last thing you want at any point in your life is just this uncontrolled bleeding that you can't stop. So vitamin K is essential. Vitamin K1 is essential for helping your blood clot. So here's my theory on why we get vitamin K from rhubarb. Rhubarb actually is not a fruit. I call it the first fruit of the season, but it's actually not a fruit. It's a vegetable. Who knew? I didn't know that until recently. And so the rhubarb is packing vitamin K, huge amounts of fiber. It also has vitamin C in it. So these are wonderful things. And if if you lived in Canada or you lived in the Northern Hemisphere and you didn't have a leafy green thing at your disposal that you could eat all winter long, then that's the other place where we get, that's our source of vitamin K, is in leafy green things like, say broccoli, Brussels sprouts, spinach, all that. That's where we get our vitamin K during the summer. But if you've been deprived of vitamin K all winter, this first offering from the earth of the rhubarb would be where you would start to bump up your vitamin K levels. So that's a really good thing. So what do you want to do is you want to make this jam, and then I'll show you next week. You want to make this bread because you want to toast this bread. Look at the crust on that. I mean, you can just hear it. It just sounds like we're in France. And I mean, if you were here, this lights me up. Bread, I love bread. And you can say, well, you're like, really? How much bread do you eat? I eat bread when I feel like it. And with this guilt-free jam, I eat toast whenever I feel like it. And I heap on this delicious vitamin and fiber bomb, because you can see, this is whole wheat bread, but you can make this bread recipe very simply by just using all white bread, and then it's a super treat. But the thing is, you can incorporate local produce. You can treat yourself to this wonderful source of vitamins and fiber, and now having added the chia seeds, you got a little bit more protein in there. So what's not to enjoy? Ladies, get a spoon and enjoy yourself. Any case, bye for now. Really, I promise you, next week, I'll teach you how to make this bread. You might think, oh, I'm not making bread because that's just crazy rising and kneading. No, you put 5 ingredients together. It takes 5 minutes to mix it up. You leave it overnight, you forget about it, and the next day you bake it, and that's the deliciousness you get. It's also on my website. So if you go to my website, liveatmaggiefit.com, you'll see it there. So bye for now. Here's the thing. With this bread, my big theme for this week has been healthy on purpose. With this bread and this jam, you got 2 more weapons in your tool belt. So there you go. Okay, bye for now.